I never know what to expect from creationists, especially when they try to argue about evolution. I got a comment on the last video in this series by a creationist, I'm assuming, by the name of a bunch of consonants and letters that I think spells out the word circuit breaker. He says that I, in the previous episode, excuse me, contradicted myself by saying at about 1 minute and 45 seconds in, he says, they don't believe in the whole microevolution thing, but that's not the case. And then at 5 minutes 43 seconds, it says, you make the statement there really isn't such a thing as macroevolution, it's all microevolution. Well, I kinda have to make a correction. There's no such thing as either micro or macroevolution. It's just evolution. It's very small incremental changes from generation to generation over time. An occurrence with natural selection and gene mutation, and that's adaptation is the word I was looking for. So he asked me what's my proof for anything in evolution occurring in nature, and I was like, oh, please, dude. First of all, I'm not Richard Dawkins, but second of all, where do I begin? Okay? So I just said whales, giraffes, raccoons, the entire field of genetics, the ever-increasingly massive fossil record, all of which supports evolution. Well, you got raccoons starting to grow hands with opposable thumbs. You got whales, which were land creatures that breathe air, for some reason swimming around in the water, with hands that are like fins, but they're bony hands, and a tail, a bony tail. Giraffes, naturally, through a process that's just somewhat disputed, longer and longer necks. So I wanted to read you guys Circuit Breaker's response to that. That's incorrect. One is actually biological evolution. Already going like, what? It's the process that we actually observe occurring in nature, all in italics. The other one is indicative of a paradigm based on a belief with no observational proof to support its validity. You've never seen anything like the evolution you're describing unless you have some sort of time machine. Oh, Ken Ham, observational versus historical bullshit. He continues, which you do not have a time machine. The words are therefore not meaningless, and both have sufficient meaning to differentiate the two radically different processes. Microevolution is not large-scale evolution. Yes, it is. Also, whales, giraffes, raccoons, the entire field of genetics? What about them? The ever-increasingly massive fossil record. Okay, here he's got a lot to say here. If you think the fossil records validates your paradigm, then allow me to demonstrate that it doesn't. Number 1, in bold. Number 1. The fossils have no DNA to report. Fossils are not the original matter. The decayed matter is gone and water leached into the decaying matter. Minerals, capitalized in parentheses. That then forms the fossil. So minerals forms the fossil, that is correct. So fossils present no DNA to confirm what creature was evolved from another creature. Well, DNA only lasts so long, and you're not going to find dinosaurs with DNA. Stuff like that, it degrades. Whether or not the fossil's well preserved or not, it doesn't matter. So yeah, there's no DNA evidence in, say, dinosaur fossils. He's correct there. So fossils present no DNA to confirm what creature was evolved from another creature. Creatures don't evolve from other creatures. A creature evolves. There is nothing there but mineral crystalline formations. Secondly, in bold. Fossils have no known mechanism through asexual or sexual strategies, capitalized for some reason, strategies. So, fossils have no known mechanism through asexual or sexual strategies to show that a simple organism can mutate to be a complex one, capitalized. That is a double failure for you. That is a bunch of word salad, Circuit Breaker. That doesn't I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. The fact of the matter is essentially this. Fossils are not DNA records, and they are therefore an illusion. Capitalized and bold. What? So let me start over because there's a comma break in there. The fact of the matter is essentially this, comma, fossils are not DNA double-space records. They are therefore an illusion because the original matter is decayed and non-existent. As a result, the fossils are merely imitations or images of the matter. Excuse me. As a result, the fossils are merely imitations or images. You know what the word images means? Of the matter, and thus the DNA is not available for study to link them together. We don't need the DNA to link them together. That's the obstacle you and anyone else who subscribes to your evolutionary paradigm, you keep using that word, I don't think it means what you think it means, is faced with. So that's the obstacle you and anyone else who subscribes to your evolutionary paradigm is faced with. Without DNA, you're just speculating ideas based off a preconceived belief. You're basically doing with your friend is attempting to get her to swap out her belief for your beliefs. This is talking about in the previous episode where I mentioned explaining that Banana Man is a retard. That's messed up. Some friend you are. Tongue out emoticon. Where the fuck do I begin with that mess? I basically responded that evolution is airtight. There's no controversy. It's been supported by every subsequent and prerequisite field. Geology, geography, Linnaean taxonomy, and phylogeny. What do you call it? Something phylogeny. Aaron Raw helped me out. But that's basically the new updated form of taxonomy. Where was I? Geography, geology, DNA, genetics, population study. It all supports it. We know for a fact that we evolved from a common ancestor that we share with chimpanzees and bonobos, which are another kind of monkey. Ape, actually, primate ape. There are evolutionary biologists who support we actually literally do descend from old world monkeys. The genetics has in no way ever done anything to contradict our understanding of evolution. The interesting thing is he's like, well, you ain't got nothing because we didn't even know how to find DNA back then, and so much of the stuff that we've used to build the biological tree, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that word, the tree of life, is from times well before DNA degrades past its point of being cataloged and read and sequenced. But the thing is, like I said, geography, geology, population migration, taxonomy in terms of physical traits, all this shit completely supports evolution. And his thing is like, well, first of all, you weren't there. You didn't sit there for the necessary millions of years to watch a whale turn into watch some sort of kind of cow-like hyena creature start swimming around the water, gain water hearing ears, have his tail grow and flatten out, all this shit. You didn't see it happen, therefore you can't prove it. Well, the thing is, science doesn't prove anything. It never has. Science has always been and always will be provisional. And there is no reason to not believe that's the way it happened. And that's the way we worked. There is no controversy. That's why evolution is widespread. That's why it's taught in schools, and that's why it's supported by 99-point-something biologists. You lose. And this stuff saying, well, fossils don't support your stuff because there's no DNA in the fossils. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What we know of geological strata, all the fossils are in the right place. There are no bunnies in the Precambrian. Nobody can say that evolution is absolute truth. This bullshit that has been philosophically and scientifically ignored or otherwise refuted and debunked. Okay? And science would not work very well if it was a preconceived notion. The reason why Christianity can't explain the world is because it can't change its mind. Christianity cannot be corrected. It cannot be falsified. It cannot be argued with. You must dogmatically and emphatically believe at all costs and against all evidence to the contrary the preconceived notion that everything is in the Bible is 100% true in order to be a creationist. You can still very well be a biblical Trinitarian Christian if you believe that Genesis is a myth. As long as you believe that Jesus Christ is the prophesied Son of God and the Messiah. But I actually communicate very frequently with full-blown creationist, predeterminist Calvinists. Predeterminist more than Calvinist, but you know that's usually the colloquial term. And it's fun to argue with them. They can't budge. And they have to shy away from things like evolution because they don't understand it. They don't understand science. They don't understand the scientific method. Not only do they not understand science, and they don't understand the evidence that science presents, they don't even know how science arrives at that conclusion because they are brainwashed. I'm sorry. I'm telling all you guys right now, Jude 3 defense, you know, all you guys, Matthew 4:19, although me and him don't talk anymore, you guys are brainwashed. You cannot even think like a rational human being, let alone come to a rational conclusion. That's too bad. But that's also why you're not allowed in the science classroom. Okay? Because even if you were right, what you do, the way you think, the way you come to your conclusions, the way you presuppose your conclusions is not science. It is the antithesis, the apotheosis of fucking science. Okay? So just stay out of it. Okay? You can teach whatever you want in your Christian schools and in your private charter schools. You can teach whatever you want to your children if you homeschool them. You have that right as an American. However, you have no business talking about science. You are not scientists. There's no such thing as creation science. It literally doesn't exist. See you again next time.